Yeah, and I think that's one of the points here is that we're trying to drive home more of a lifestyle faith, right? And it's
Right.
interacting. It's not something that's separate nor something you just put on Sunday. So
Mhm.
have you seen an intentionality or a growth in your own kind of spiritual walk as well as walking into the things that you do?
Yeah, I really have. It was easier for me to become an ambassador of what it is that you do to help people kind of find themselves through biblical passages. And I think it came from James, if I'm not mistaken, when we read about faith without action is just words. And, it felt like, we have faith, we're strong in it, that we're constantly praying for one another, but praying for one another and living it, being it, doing it, helping where needed, taking action, and not just in the output of it, but in pouring into our own selves with it was important to me at that point. It was pretty evident that there's a lot of talk, even social marketing, social media. When somebody would say, our family member's ailing, and we would make the comment, "We're praying for you."
Right,
I,
right,
I, I found myself saying, "Am I? Am I doing that?"
right,
And I
right.
thought I started to feel guilty, and I made a very conscious effort at that point to never make a comment to somebody that I'm praying for them if I'm not going to.
Mm,
And and that to me was kind of application of the action that had been talked about in James, and that was faith without those actions are just words.
yeah, no,
And
that's
so
great.
we're thinking to myself, somebody told me a long time ago, I don't want your fastest work. I want your
Mm,
best work, your
mm,
best work.
that's good.
And biblically, I don't know that Jesus wants our fastest work. I certainly wouldn't think God would
Yeah.
want us here to do our fastest work. He wants our best. And so, I stopped racing myself through to see how many pieces I could read in a short period of time and focusing on journeying into the words and understanding them better. And it's much easier with a group of guys like yourself.
Yeah, well said, well said. Working
Mhm.
any kind of business.
But when we did the puzzles, it
Oh,
was,
yeah, it was on the vision.
you know, how interesting it is that you think you need to see something, all of it, before you can
Yeah,
piece it together.
right.
And I was an example of when I had probably the most comprehensive pieces of that puzzle, and it took me the longest to put it together.
Yes.
And other people had parts of the puzzle. They had the least detailed picture of the puzzle going into it, and put more pieces together. My first thought was, man, I have either just really missed the train to, I must be stupid,
Yeah,
until you realize that, when you have too much, you have too many obstacles to see in order to build and be creative yourself. And when you were in a position like some of the other guys where they didn't have the picture, they just had the pieces of the puzzle, and their mind was on fit them together one at a time, fit
yeah,
where it
right,
fits, and find your vision in that thing. And so, what do I do? Coincidentally, go back and start recreating that on my own to find out, is that real, or is this kind of one of those parlor tricks? And it
right.
was real. It was very
Yeah.
real.